1038, it's Plan B with me, Serena. Now, I'm very excited because one of my favourite shows on the TV at the moment is E's Hollywood Medium with Tyler Henry. And I have him on the phone. Tyler, welcome to Plan B.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Tyler, I am loving Hollywood Medium. How do you react to seeing yourself on screen?
Oh my gosh, it's so surreal. I mean, we're now in our second season and it still is so crazy for me every single time I turn on the TV and when I go out in public and people come up to me. So it's really been surreal and I'm just so thankful and it's just been incredible. My life has changed so much.
Can we go back to the very, very beginning? Let's go back to when you were 10 years old. What happened then? I'd say that was the day that your life changed.
For sure. Well, it really for me started at the age of 10, and I grew up in a very conservative Christian household in a very small town in the middle of California. And so basically one night, I went to bed, no different than any other night, and I woke up and just had a complete knowingness that my grandmother was going to pass away. And I couldn't quite explain it, but I just woke up with this just real strong sense of conviction that I just knew that she was going to pass. So I went into the room to tell my mom that I felt we had to say goodbye. And before I got the chance to actually walk out the door, my mom's phone rang. So she interrupted our discussion and picked up the phone. And when she went to answer it, it was my dad on the other line. And he said that my grandmother had just passed away, like within those past few moments. And so that was really the catalyst that kind of set my life in this direction.
How did you know? Were things like this happening to you all the time? Did you know that this wasn't something? Because as a 10-year-old, whatever happens to you, you think is normal and everyone else is experiencing.
Right, exactly. As a 10-year-old, I really didn't know how to process my experience. I knew that I clearly had a premonition of my grandmother's passing, but I didn't know if that was a one-time incident or if that was something that was going to happen again. I think my mom's reaction was really just that she understood how close my grandmother and I were, so I feel like that's what she just kind of assumed that premonition was due to. But as time went on, I started finding when I would go to school, I would get impressions and feelings and just these really strong knowingnesses about kids at school. And when I would share these little impressions or feelings, they would validate them as being correct. So I really just kind of took that process that was happening naturally, and after years of kind of observing it and figuring out how it worked, I refined it. And that's when I started doing readings professionally at the age of 16.
How did you refine it and how did you learn how to do this? Because it's not like this always amazes me because it's not like there's a medium or a clairvoyant school.
Exactly. And it was really interesting because I didn't have any mentors at the time. So a
Yeah.
lot of my process is really just discovering it on my own. And so I would go to antique stores with friends and I would hold my hands behind my back and they would put antiques in my hands and I would like try to intuitively feel, maybe the history of that antique. And so that was actually an interesting little test that I would do with my friends and we'd just go to antique stores. And so that was actually in the early days how I kind of honed that ability.
It's really interesting to see you in the show. You also scribble. You have a notepad with you. What's that all about?
Well, for me, I really have found that this has been a unique process. And so in scribbling, I'm able to kind of get into more of a meditative state of mind. And that really is the goal. And this actually all really started for me when I was actually on the phone with my friend one day. And I was just doodling on the phone, as people often do. And I found that as I was just kind of scribbling on the paper, with no real focus, that the more I did it, I started finding that impressions were coming through about the friend that I was talking on the phone with.
Wow.
And so I thought, okay, well, clearly there's something to this. So I figured I would just kind of try to integrate it into my readings and see what happens. And it's worked really beautifully. It's been something that has just allowed me to kind of, I think, maybe occupy or distract a certain part of my brain
Yeah.
to allow for maybe some more subconscious impressions to come through.
Were you ever freaked out by this ability that you have?
I would say I was more freaked out by people's responses because for me it wasn't like the sixth sense. It wasn't like I saw dead people walking around.
Okay, so that's not what you
I
see.
Right, exactly. And that's a common misconception. It's
Yeah.
not like I see dead people walking around and showing up at the foot of my bed in most cases. But, for me, it was really just a process of kind of coping with other people's reactions.
Yeah.
I would have these feelings that people would acknowledge were correct. And when they would say that I was correct, that part was kind of bizarre because I was just communicating what was coming naturally, what I was seeing and what I was feeling.
Well, now everyone wants a piece of you. I mean, just recently you were on the Ellen DeGeneres show, and she said, like, this is
Yeah.
huge. She actually said she didn't want to make her reading public, but what she did say is, thank you, Tyler. You have changed my life. What's it
Oh.
like having that power?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm so first just immensely thankful to have had that opportunity. And when people give testimonials like that, I know fundamentally that it's not all about me, and I know that this ability could have been given to anyone, and I am just so immensely appreciative to be that person who's able to be that conduit, and I feel like it's a privilege and it's a responsibility, and I'm so thankful to have been the catalyst for that.
I find it amazing that you don't want to know when you're being driven to these people's houses. You don't want to know who it is because you don't want to be distracted. But have you been distracted sometimes walking in because you have been so starstruck by who is actually standing in front of you?
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, there were so many moments. I mean, when I walked in to read Kris Jenner, recently Moby, in fact I read RuPaul,
Oh my
RuPaul the
gosh.
other day. And when I walked in, I nearly fell over. I mean, I nearly fainted because it's so important for me to never know who I'm reading because these celebrities obviously do have public lives.
Yeah.
And so when I'm being driven to my readings, my mom doesn't know where we're going and my assistant doesn't know where we're going. We actually follow a production vehicle. So none of us in the car ever even know where we're going or who we're reading, and that is really how I like it because I want it to all be authentic. And I don't want to be biased with anything that I might know about that person. So it's really important to just be as clear as it can be.
So is this something, and excuse my ignorance when it comes to this stuff, but is this something that is happening straight away? Like now that we're talking, can you experience stuff or is it just you have to really focus for messages to come to you?
I would say that my ability is not really like an on or an off switch.
Yeah.
It's kind of more like a volume dial. So if you think of it kind of like I go throughout my day-to-day life with background noise. And that background noise might be impressions about my environment. It might be some subtle impressions from the people that I'm talking to or around or going to be speaking to. But when I go to a reading, I really kind of try to turn that volume dial up. And I consciously, through the process of meditation and through the process of scribbling and holding onto an object, with all of those things happening, that's kind of my cue to really open up and really get in the zone. I've found that it's very important to kind of not always be on, and so
Yeah.
I've kind of trained myself to be able to kind of put certain things on the back burner, or else I wouldn't be able to go about my day-to-day life or answer questions or do interviews. I would have all these people bobbing in constantly, but sometimes stuff will come through, and when it does, I'm very forthcoming in sharing it. But I've just learned that it's really essential just for my well-being to kind of have a health balance.
Your new book is being released in November. Does
Yes.
that mean that you may be doing a book tour of Ireland?
Sure, absolutely. I definitely would love to go and visit Europe and do a tour.
Before I let you go, we know the book's coming out, but is there going to be a third season of Hollywood Medium?
Well, I sure hope so. I mean, it looks like we definitely had a mid-season finale, so
Yeah.
that means that I'm still filming readings, and so there definitely will be further episodes coming up. So you can expect to see Dr. Drew, Janice Dickinson.
Oh, wow.
There's just so many that are coming out, so I'm really excited.
Tyler Henry, it has been such a pleasure. I am leaving this interview with such a smile on my face, and I cannot wait to see you in person. Promise you will come and see us here in Ireland.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Yes, I can't wait to visit. We'll go to have tea.